Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I'm sorry it's at the ceiling. I don't have control about that camera, but you can see me in one of them. I know Lori's here. I'm sure she'll come down in a moment. With her, myself, and Brandy, I believe that's enough for a quorum out of our five. I don't know whether or not Severin is going to join, and didn't hear back from Chloe, so at least be three of us voting. But I have to wait for Lori to really start, so we'll just, sorry, hang tight for a minute. Hello.
Lost count.
Well, good. I know, I did too. Well, Severin's here. Lori's still not quite here yet, but
She's
good.
talking. Okay.
I'm glad we have another voting member. We're just hanging tight for Lori for a minute. Well, I think she's walking down. I will go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's 5:03. Let me write that down. I circulated meeting minutes in an email a few minutes ago, so hopefully everybody had time to review that. My goal today, the agenda was sent out, is to one, approve our last meeting minutes from March 30th, 2026, and then also to do another review. We saw, the draft of the strategic plan and matrix last meeting. We will consider it for approval today, as well as that one pager that Daniel sent over earlier this week, and he could present that and we can review it together in this meeting before we move into any sort of vote. But first I am Kirsten Thompson, the chairperson of the Community Development Committee. Also in attendance is Severin Johnson, Lori Thomas, Carrie Malkovich is on the call as our city council liaison, as well as Brandy Johns, Community Development Committee member, and we also have Daniel Jensen on the call from Sunrise Engineering. If we could move to the next item on the agenda, approval of the March 30, 2026 meeting minutes. Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of March 30th, 2026.
And I'll second that.
Severin, second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Brandy. Okay. Moving on to the next item. Daniel, if you'll just take a moment, if we could just do a quick review again, show some of the updates. I know nothing too substantial was changed, but if we could just review those and then answer any questions, we'll start there.
Do you want me to share my screen so people can see the,
Yes,
are we talking about
please.
the Excel draft?
Let's do both. Let's start with the Excel draft and then we'll go over the one page, well, whatever it is, 1 or 2 pager. But yeah, let's start with that Excel draft. If you could share your screen, that would be helpful for the rest of us.
Okay. Here we go. So as a reminder for everyone, we've been working on the general plan, Planning Commission's reviewing, that's going to go to council for review. And the strategic plan outlines the goals that we are focusing on in the more immediate future over the next 1 to 3 years. And so this document outlines those goals. We have the corresponding chapter in the general plan that these goals relate to, what the specific action step is, which general plan goal it relates to. Sometimes it's close to verbatim to the same goal. Other times it's maybe a little bit broader and encapsulates multiple goals. Other times this action step is more specific, right? And we may have 1 or 2 action steps to point us toward one of the general plan goals. So they don't always perfectly align, and that's just the nature of tasks, you know?
Daniel, could I interrupt you for a moment?
Yep.
This
Mhm.
isn't I don't necessarily mind about not the color coding, but this doesn't look like the
Oh,
version I sent that was a table.
yeah, you're right. Let's see. I
Sorry
have,
to interrupt you.
yeah, you are right. Let's see.
But I did like your explanation on how the goals are possibly the same or different, because that was one of my questions on how the strategic goals were different from the goals in the general plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
I
they're
think
meant
he's
to be
saying,
updated as tasks move along, right? Sorry, what were you saying, Kirsten?
well, I feel like what you were saying is that you were talking about column C, which is pointing to
General plan.
what goal in the general plan the action step aligns with most closely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have the action step and then yeah, and these don't always match verbatim, right? So let's see. Oh, Kirsten, you sent it to me. I think what happened is I didn't save it in the file. So let me pull up my email. Sorry.
Yeah, if you're welcome to not screen share if you don't want all of this.
Right now, are you're just seeing my one screen, right? Or do you see both?
Just the one.
Okay.
He has a hidden screen.
I do. I have 2 monitors.
While we're waiting, I'm on my way driving home, and the elk are kind of by the mailboxes. It's nice to see them out.
Here we go.
So this is the one that you're talking about.
The one on the right,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay, so
Oh,
if you're familiar with Excel, so the top allows you to then filter, like if you're planning commission and responsible parties, you could filter by just anything that applies to the planning commission. Or if you're like city council, what are things that are immediate? Then you could filter by things that immediately need to be looked at.
How do you do that? Show.
So the little square on each column, that one's probably not like the best example. Go to responsible parties,
right here. Here we go.
and then
Oh.
you would just click whichever one.
Okay.
We'd want these to be like as close as, consolidated, because it's going to be unique. Like if there was spaces or something, and it's gonna then have Ted and Dave as 2 different things. But I think those mostly are not repeats. So anyway, and then if you scroll a little bit, and I don't know, feel free to give your opinion. I do not necessarily want to die on the hill of these being color coded, but I didn't know if it was easier from a visual standpoint to kind of see the different topics visually with separation of color, or
I like the
if
color
it's
coding, but
too busy.
it might not work when if it gets printed. That would be it makes it hard to read. But if it's just in a electronic form, it's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't have a strong opinion about that if you don't want the color coding or if you guys feel like that's not going to be effective, but yeah. So any opinions on the look and feel of this so far? Do we like it as is? I think most of this was input by, Daniel meeting with Ted and meeting with I don't know if you were able to get insights back. It sounded like you were waiting to hear back if Wayne was going to get back to you.
Yeah, so I've not heard back. I've not met with Wayne. Also, PTR. I think it's PTR, not PRT. I always get that mixed up. PTR. I have not heard back from them. I don't believe they had another meeting here in April. So yeah, I don't know if it would change much. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if we feel comfortable, this is supposed to be a living, breathing document. It's not supposed to be something that our committee, we want to be able to pass it forward to the city council and for them to add in tasks or work with the PTR committee to add in tasks that they feel like will then help them accomplish the goals of the general plan. So if we feel comfortable that this at least provides a starting point for council and city employees to be a usable city tracker, are there any thoughts about that? How do we feel about that?
Okay, so is there a way to make the top row frozen so that as you scroll down, it will
Yes.
always be visible?
Good call.
And because I forget what column I'm in.
It should be in view, I think. And then freeze panes. And do top row. Good thinking.
Okay, and then so how are the general plan goals and the strategic plan goals? I mean, are they this?
There aren't strategic plan goals.
There are no
There's
goals
action steps to,
that align with the general plan
yeah.
goals.
So these
Okay.
are the steps they're going to take and who's responsible for them to then
Okay.
get to the plan goal.
Okay.
And
Any
the
other
intention here
questions?
is that as an action is completed, we would move to the next step, right? The goals always stay the same until the goal is checked off, but this document would be updated frequently, hopefully, right? Hopefully actions get checked off and new ones get added on. And 2 to 3 years from now, this document looks very different.
And maybe to help in the status column, should we just put in progress on all of them? And then as they get completed, whoever completes it feels like they can then switch it to complete.
Yeah, either that or they remove it. So I don't.
I would think you'd want a record though.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I would suggest removing it, but that'll be whatever. That's up to the city council
I
and the
kind of
employees.
I kind of like that idea of having that in progress or completed so that it could continue to be shown. So if anyone comes back and says, "Oh, what are you working on?" Well, we finished this, now we're on to this. And then it shows the history as well of what's been done as well as the current.
Yeah. Looks like there was a hand raised if you would like to ask your question.
Second. Thank you. I love the idea of being able to track. I think it would also be helpful to have either the committee name or some identifier if you want to get more information, you know how to quickly, just right here. You look at this spreadsheet, you know where we're at, you know who's working on it. And I think the archival needs to be access to, like, if it was completed, there needs to be a way to see what the steps were, because hopefully there's also notes of what the outcome analysis. Did we like, there was this element that we wouldn't do again because of blank, blank, blank. Anyway, just my input. And I tried to come in, but the outside door is locked.
Oh, I had to come
Come
through
to the office door.
yeah. I had to do that too. Maybe we add like
Well, the person you would contact would be the responsible party.
do you want there to be a place though if there's like notes, you know, if there's like she's like outcomes or issues or things that you would want to record any sort of additional information?
Maybe just notes. Yeah, and then you can put
Well,
whatever.
and I think some of them would be internal notes because you don't necessarily need everything there showing the steps, but at least the progress, the steps that are important, and then the finished. Because otherwise it would take up a lot of room that aren't necessary, but we still want the record that it's been done and maybe how.
Yeah.
Just
Daniel,
in
one last
process.
thing I would just say just delete out. Go ahead. Just delete out some of those notes on the side there in that side column because I think those were from our last meeting. And then okay, so I feel like the notes I think would cover if there's any need for whoever's working on that to add if there's issues, outcomes, things that are different that changed and maybe why. So would it be?
Well, I guess the difference is between if it's something that's being worked on that's more of a draft that may change compared to what happened and why or something, because remember all of these are public documents, and sometimes if you have a public document that's working document, if it's really only a draft and somebody takes it as if it's already been completed, it could be a problem in communication. So
Yeah.
I would rather us communicate what we actually have done, not what we hope. And make sure that those notes are more of a completion outline rather than I think we're going to do, because we don't want to get one of our employees saying, oh, well, I wrote that I was going to do this. And then the council says, well, no, we're not doing it that way, or we don't have budget or whatever. That's confusing for residents. I'd rather it be, this is what we've done.
There we go. Project completion notes. And I think that's like optional. I don't think that's something that they have to use, but if they feel like it's useful to add any other context, they have a place to do it. Okay, well, let's then just review the other one, the Word document. If there's no other questions or comments on that strategic plan matrix.
I really liked this one pager, Danielle. I thought you encapsulated it all in a very, very thoughtful way. Any citizen who looks at that is going to be able to see that the structure and that it's reviewed and this is what it does and doesn't do. I really like this for our public facing. And then as anyone has questions, they can contact the person that's going to be implementing or completing those projects.
Agreed. I think it helps to show that this isn't trying to add goals in addition to the general plan. This is actionable steps that are translating into those general plan goals. And I like that it outlines that there'll be a formal review and update by staff, annual, and I don't know, Anything else? Anybody else? Comments, questions about this, feedback?
It's so good. That's my comment. It is so good. It is such an easier read. It is clean. It is professional. I'm really, really impressed.
I'm glad you like it, Diana.
Thanks, Carrie.
Well, thank you both.
Well, and as we get new council people in the future, and the onboarding won't be as hard because the structure is there. And then if they have a particular assignment, they'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, if there's no other comments, questions, concerns, need for discussion, would anyone like to motion?
I'll make
So
to end the
what
meeting.
I'll do is
No,
I'll
to
put this.
approve.
Daniel has a comment.
Go ahead, Daniel.
So what I'll do then is I put this in InDesign within the general plan, right at the very beginning before chapter 1, right? As like a standalone. It's not going to be part of the same numbering system. So it'd be like a Roman numeral, like 2 or 3, whatever, like right after the table of contents or before the table of contents of the general plan, right?
Well, let's understand that. Are there feelings about that? It seemed like there was some that wanted this to be concurrent with the general plan and part of it. Are there any opinions where they feel like it should be separate? And is that a bother to anybody that it would be part of that first few pages of the general plan?
I think we're talking that the one pager would be in the general plan. The specifics would not. The table will not be part of it, but that one pager is I think that would be helpful to have that at the beginning, just to showcase that it is in conjunction with, but it's a standalone document.
So maybe right after the table of contents, before
Yeah.
chapter 1.
Yeah, just to show that there is action, because I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is we have a general plan, and people will say, okay, that's good until the next time, but that will show that there's actually action steps being taken with regards to the general plan, but it won't show any specifics of what action is being taken at the moment, because that will depend on the action item itself in the other document.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, any comments on that?
Do we need to change the cover so that go back to the cover, the very front? Like, does it need to say Woodland Hills General Plan put both documents listed there?
I don't think so, because we're not putting the other one in there. We're just going to put this one sheet that says it's going to be its own document, but it is just the general plan. The strategic plan will not be a part of, because they're for two different audiences. The general plan is as you would say owned by the planning commission with approval of the council, where the strategic plan is a standalone document for the council then to dictate to themselves or to staff on action items.
Is it confusing that it's just suddenly in there? Should it be like incorporated into that introduction section?
Or we could put it as one of the appendix at the end, as an appendix, whichever.
Yeah, I feel like that's almost better. Just like, yeah. I feel like it would be kind of odd to you open it, all of a sudden there's a strategic plan, but you don't really see anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of I
Yeah,
like the appendix.
Okay.
Okay, well, anything else to settle, Daniel?
I don't think so.
If we feel good about that Word document being added into as an appendix item to the general plan, just saying that the city has a strategic plan matrix and this is kind of what it does and what it is. And then we provide to the city that working file that allows them to track actionable steps leading toward the general plan goals. for their use if desired. So if we all feel good about those things, would anybody like to motion to approve the strategic plan?
This is Diana again. I can't move, but I had one more comment. I'll lower my hand.
Go ahead.
You guys are just gonna see. I'm showing my true self. I really cannot stand if any document, if someone were to pick it up, and it's important like this, pick it up and it's out of context, they don't know what it is. Can we, maybe the bottom of every single page, Woodland Hills, Utah, identify at least where it is. Like just seeing Woodland Hills strategic plan overview is triggering for me, and I don't want to be. I'm already showing my craziness, but Woodland Hills, Utah, feels more appropriate. I just think we need to be careful that we don't leave out something that if someone were to
Take it out of context.
they just don't have enough info to put it where it belongs.
That's a great idea, because I actually get quite a few calls from Woodland Hills, California, asking me questions about things. So maybe putting Woodland Hills, Utah, so that it's in order and and that it's in context each page. If it was taken out of context, someone could say, "Hey, there's something missing." Is that okay?
I think at
Daniel,
this point
to do.
I think we have control over the Woodland Hills, Utah strategic plan overview name. I think the general plan has moved on into the hands of the Planning Commission and City Council. But I think it's something that could be carried forward. Carrie, that would, or one of our Planning Commission members.
We can say that as it goes forward. But if the document hasn't been completely finalized, if Daniel wants to just put that little clarification that it's Woodland Hills, Utah on every page, I don't see where anyone would have fault with that.
No. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay, well, I will let everyone else handle that. But for today, we have the strategic plan overview and the strategic plan matrix. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I motion to accept.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay. 528. Brandy? Second. Lori? Unanimous. Okay, well, I do not see a need to meet again until we know the timeline of when this will go before the council, and then if there was any needs that arose from that. So at this point, I don't have another date to set for this Community Development Committee to meet until I have a little more information. So with that, I think we can adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Great.
I'll second it.
Severin adjourned at 5:28 and Lori second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Diana, for your comments. Very helpful. And thank you, Brandy, to joining during your busy time.
All right, thanks everyone. Have a good night.